Hello, I'm Rob Moir of the Ocean River Institute, and I'm here in Salem at the Farmers Market. And we've come to Salem to encourage people of Salem and the visitors to call for a right whale national marine sanctuary. And I'd like to take a moment to tell you about my life-changing experience that got me to this point. It goes back to 1974 when I was sailing off the coast of Maine in a 27-foot sailboat. I had my hand on the tiller on the left and my right hand up on the windward rail, and I looked over the side and this stretch of hide, like a sandbar, just came out of nowhere. And I thought I'd never imagined something living that big. And so I was pointing at it like I was having the people down below thought I was having an epileptic attack. But they came up on deck and there was just a slick of where that whale had been. And because it was flat with no dorsal fin, we know that it was a right whale. And we didn't see it anywhere else, it's just that one time. And so that got me interested in right whales. That has led me to creating the Ocean River Institute. And today we're here calling for a national marine sanctuary. Today the situation in right whales is dire. We've gone from 350 whales when I first saw them up to 420 thanks to the work of the Stellwagen Bank National Marine Sanctuary, and now it's fallen to 350 whales, and that includes less than 70 breeding female whales. So it's time to act to do more than it's already been done. And the government is stepping up by addressing the ship strike problem, and they're going to regulate ships to go only 10 knots, or about 10 miles an hour, in the presence of whales. The other problem is the whales are getting entangled in lobster trap lines, and so the government is working with the lobstermen to develop lineless lobster traps so they'll get rid of that problem. And if they can figure it out, and it's not easy to create equipment that survives the rugged ocean and stuff, if they can figure it out, it'll be good for us mariners so they won't have to steer around all those lobster populations. The recovery of the right whales is our collective responsibility, and the way we act on that is to create a national marine sanctuary that will not regulate the whales, but it will help us collectively manage the whales, because that is the challenge. And I have found that the more diverse the perspectives of people engaged in the process, the more robust will be the solutions. So it's how we think about these problems. They don't have simple answers, and so we need to have different perspectives on solving them, because these are very complex problems. So we have to address the degradation of the whale's habitat, the warming of the waters, and the effects of pollution. One of the problems the whales are facing with their habitat is that the phytoplankton at the bottom of their food pyramid is down by 65% from where it was 20 years ago in terms of productivity. It's not growing as much as it used to. And that doesn't make any sense when we look at the optimal plant growing conditions of increasing nutrients and warming waters. You'd think you'd have more plants. I think we don't, because the herbicides we're using on the land, we're doing more yard care, and the clearing of power lines is meaning a lot of glyphosate and Roundup is being put down on the land. And if you let that stuff get off your property, it's going to end up in the ocean, killing the phytoplankton. We're here on Derby Wharf in Salem Harbor, and you may see a couple cormorants working the waters behind me. The great concern is that the waters of the Gulf of Maine are warming faster than anywhere else, and people are shaking their fists at greenhouse gases that are causing the waters to have hotter air and to have hotter waters. But it's important that people also remember the old ways, the local knowledges, which was that the water here is continental shelf water, which is 54 degrees, and that cools our summers and warms our winters. It makes me think of trying to warm up a cup of coffee with a hairdryer. You just can't do it. And if you want to warm the coffee, you got to put it on a hot plate and it gets warm. So the waters are warming because it's on some kind of hot plate. And the hot plates, no surprise, are these impervious surfaces, these heat islands, these hot spots in our urban communities. So to cool the waters for the whales, we need to look at how we can have less impervious surfaces and more vegetation. Also, how can we slow the water down so that less of it is warming the ocean? Last summer, we saw 70-degree air temperatures, but we saw the sea temperatures rise by 2 degrees. And then 3 years ago, 2021, we had air temperatures rise to 73.8, but we didn't see the water temperature rise at all. It was stayed at the average, summer average of 70 degrees. So how could this happen if we got warmer air but not warmer water? And the reason it happened was that last summer, 2023, we had the most rainfall since 1955. And so the key there is that a lot of water didn't just fall on the ocean, because when it's raining, the air's cooler too. The water fell on urban hot spots, warmed up, and caused the ocean to have warmer water. The temperatures we're hearing about the Gulf of Maine being warmer is just the surface water, which is just the fresh water puddling on the surface that's coming off the land. And beneath that, it's 54-degree continental shelf water. Yesterday, we were in Waltham, and early next week, we're going to be in Attleboro. Today in Salem, we're working with the Salem Beautification Committee, and we're working with them to create more Miyawaki forests, which are small urban forests that we can place on open spaces in Salem. Mr. Miyawaki noticed in Japan that the forests next to temples had the greatest diversity of trees and the most life, they had a great diversity of trees because they planted different species, and they were very happy forests. And so he realized that diversity helps. He also noticed that it takes 100 years for a mature forest to take over a field. And so he condensed that by planting all at once the early successional trees, the sumac, the aspen trees, blueberry bushes, along with the middle stage trees, along with the oaks and hickories and maples of the mature forest. We plant them all together at once, 30 to 50 species of woody plants, and they just take off 10 times faster than a stand of trees of one species of trees would do. And this is because their roots are all connected, and so they've all got these roots connected to fungi that are connected to the mycorrhizal web is reaching out to all these bacteria, so that if a plant needs any chemical, it puts a signal into the fungi highway. The little hyphae reaches into the plant cells, and it's picked up by one of the great diversity of bacteria, and the bacteria can create that material and give it to all the plants. And so we see this 2-year-old Miyawaki forest in Cambridge, which is on a building site, has this tall, 8-foot tall aspen tree, and it's got the biggest leaves I've ever seen on an aspen tree. But the 4 feet coming up from the ground has little silver dollar-sized leaves on it. So I think that's the stem, or the sprout that was grown in the nursery, the sapling, and it didn't have the nutrients in the nursery that this plant had in the forest. And so a Miyawaki forest increases the carbon drawdown, the amount of carbohydrates in the ground, and the ability of the ground to hold 10 times. So it will hold 10 times more water than a normal stand of trees. Here in Salem, we have identified 10 possible sites for Miyawaki forests. That could be as small as 200 square feet or as big as 5,700 square feet throughout the town. And this will make a huge difference. We don't know which ones they'll be able to build, but whatever they want to build, we will work with the locals to organize us so we can all take shovels and get our hands dirty in the dirt. We'll plant the plants about 18 inches apart and start our own Miyawaki forest that should help cool the waters here in Salem Sound, but also benefit the people of Salem with forests in their own neighborhoods, close to home, cleaning the air and beautifying that. So we would invite you to join with the Ocean River Institute in calling on the government to create a right whale national marine sanctuary. And we urge you to visit our website, www.oceanriver.org, and not only sign the letter to the government, but take a moment to write a comment about why you care about this, because that's what they read is the comments. And so far, we've gathered 6,700 signatures, thousands of comments, and it's a numbers game. The more that people want the sanctuary, the more sooner the government will consider and map it out. And it's really exciting. The sanctuary we're looking at would be maybe 6,500 square miles. So it starts at Stellwagen Bank, right off of Boston here, and go to abut the Stellwagen Bank National Marine Sanctuary, and then and cover Cape Cod. So we fill Cape Cod Bay and the Southwest Channel, and then the Nantucket Shoal waters, all the way west to Block Island. So it's a Rhode Island, Massachusetts, right whale national marine sanctuary. So join us here in Salem or wherever you may be in our calling on the government to create a right whale national marine sanctuary. I'm Rob Moir from the Ocean River Institute, and if you would like to help us, please visit our website, www.oceanriver.org. And on the website, you'll see 6 different campaigns to work on. Check on the right whale one, and not only sign up, but please take a moment to write a comment. It really makes a difference to decision makers to hear that people want this sanctuary in their communities. It's a national one, so they want to hear from people all over the country, so they want both. And so thank you for wherever you are signing up. Thank you for listening to this program, and please take care of yourselves, take some care of your local neighborhoods, and then let's take some care of this planet of ours.